Honestly, then I read the topic of my first ever essay. I just did like that. What the fuck? I strongly believe that many undergraduate students are not taken seriously. Their tutors and supervisors don't teach them how to write an essay. I will take you seriously today. All the stuff I will recommend comes from my own experience of writing academic articles. So, why not to surprise your tutor and to write your essay in a way how a senior scholar writes his or her article? When you write your introduction, remember that the ideal intro is a triangle. So you move from the broader context to a more particular problem that you will discuss in your essay. This particular problem should be the topic of your essay. First, start describing a little bit more context around your topic. This part we call bla-bla part. If you're a historian, a historical context will work perfectly here. You may as well wish to introduce the historical source or literary source that you are going to discuss. If you are a sociologist or an anthropologist, I think it's a good idea to discuss a little bit the social context or certain contemporary problems that probably relates to your study. But never start with very generic sentences. Don't say that consumerism reached new levels in the European societies. It's just too broad. You can't say these things about everything. The idea here is to start quite broadly to provide the context for that problem that you are going to discuss, but at the same time to stay focused on that problem. The good example of bla-bla part. Moses Bar Kifa's commentary on the Eucharist from the 9th century is one of the most significant West Syrian liturgical commentaries because it provides a more comprehensive interpretation of the Eucharistic liturgy than its predecessor. However, his interpretation of the Eucharistic liturgy also provides his own contributions to the meaning of the liturgical action and language. An important distinguishing feature of Moses Bar Kifa's commentary is the role of Old Testament material. What she's doing here, she's basically zooming from the description of the commentary and the features of this commentary to a particular question about the role of Old Testament material, which is your topic actually. What is the role of Old Testament in Moses Bar Kifa's exposition on the liturgy? So that's the idea. So the second part of your introduction triangle is the state of research. In this part, you basically describe the research that has already been done on your topic. Of course, you shouldn't read everything around your topic and describe it in your essay. It's not feasible. But the idea is that the articles and books that you will read for your essay, these are very research that you will describe in that part. So your professor is not stupid. They gave you a certain number of articles that fit perfectly with the topic of your essay. You just need to read them and describe them in that particular part, in the state of research. Just summarize the major points that the authors of those articles are making on your topic. You can use the following words and expressions. Recent research has focused on, or in recent years, there has been a growing interest in. You may start as well with the broader descriptions and then zooming into particular authors that you're going to mention. You may also say, author 1 in his article argues that. You can as well compare the author's opinions. Author 1 claims that A is A. By contrast, author 2 is convinced that A is B. Or if you see that author 2, the second author, really criticizes the first author, you can just say it. For instance, author 1 argues that A is A, but his critic, author 2, has shown that A is B. In the description box below, you'll find more useful phrases and expressions that help you to describe the state of research. Let me also show you some examples. The first example is how you can briefly describe or just briefly mention this state of research. Much debate in scholarship has persisted about the ordering of the events in the hymn that she is studying, particularly to what extent the first stanza on creation can be said to represent the fifth epiphany. Just in one sentence, she mentioned that in the scholarship there was a big debate on the topic how they structure the hymn. Another example of the state of research and how to write it is the so-called author-focused approach. Here in this Yale essay, the student mentioned the book, just one book, which she is arguing against. In The Corrupting Sea, Peregrine Horden and Nicholas Purcell rely on the ethnographic and archaeological evidence to portray Mediterranean pilgrimage as reflecting predictable patterns of connectivity shaped by fragmented microecological environment. This is a brief description of the book. Here is the nice example how the student compares the scholarship. For instance, she mentioned that book, The Corrupting Sea by Horden and Purcell, and then she, in the following paragraph, she actually describes a lot of studies that totally disagree with that Corrupting Sea book. Critics of Horden and Purcell have characterized their approach to sacred mobility in The Corrupting Sea as reductive, at times even verging on deterministic. Critic Brent Shaw has identified here an impulse towards both environmental and economic determinism, observing that, so on and so forth, the quotation from that critic. And that's okay to use the quotations if you want to describe the author's opinions. Then there is now a very lovely way how to introduce the author's critique of each other. For instance, Paulus Quattriti echoed his critique, the critique of Brent Shaw, the previous criticism. So Quattriti echoed his critique, noting that sacred mobility for Horden and Purcell derives, and the quotation follows. This is also very nice word, echoed, if you want to say that some author agree with another author. Then you finish describing, try to understand with what you agree and with what you disagree. Think about what is lacking in those authors' research. Try to figure out where the so-called lacuna is. Briefly, a lacuna is a certain gap in the scholarship where you can fit your own research. Perhaps a certain aspect of your topic hasn't been discussed properly. Or perhaps you don't agree with the previous scholarship on that particular topic, and you have your own opinion and some data that you can use to support your own opinion. Lacuna is a certain limitation in the scholarship. For instance, you may notice that some studies are written with a certain political or social agenda, or written from a very one-sided perspective. So you can actually use it as a critique of these particular studies. Try to catch those authors in something that seems to you very weak. After you described the opinions of others, add this great word, however. For instance, however, this problem, aspect, phenomena remains largely unknown or understood or to be clarified. Here is the good example of a lacuna. However, Eusebius, that's the late antique author, Eusebius' theology of sacred space has yet to be studied in relation to his political theology. Very good. This student indicated what is lacking in the previous research. After you mentioned where the lacuna in the scholarship is, you said, however, something has not been studied properly, you should indicate how your essay will fill the gap in the scholarship. For this, say explicitly what your essay is gonna do. Just tell us the aim of your essay while you are writing this. You can use these expressions. The aim of this essay is. This essay examines, investigates. In this essay, I will demonstrate how Moses Bar Kifa uses the Old Testament to provide a typology of sacrifice, and so on and so forth. The key words here in this example are, in this essay, I will demonstrate, and Then she proceeds to what she's going to demonstrate exactly. Right, good. We almost done it. We're almost at the very end of our triangle. To finish the introduction, you need to say explicitly, clearly say what is the structure of your essay, why it's necessary. Then you describe the steps that you're going to take in order to reach the aim of the essay. You make the life of your tutor easier. To describe the structure of your essay, you may use the following expressions. First, I will examine. Second, I will investigate. Finally, I will argue. Or, my essay begins by providing the historical context of. The second section of my essay analyzes. My essay concludes by contrasting and comparing. You can say it in the more personal terms. I first investigate this very question of hymn structure. I then compare these epiphanies with instances of the epiphany in classical literature. Finally, I argue that all these poetic elements taken together lead the performer to experience the paradox of the simultaneous immanence and transcendence of God. It's of course important that you follow the same structure when you write the main text of your essay, otherwise it doesn't make sense. You can actually use the same phrases that you mentioned in the introduction, but just a little bit paraphrased. It will make your essay sound clear and coherent. And your tutor will appreciate it very much. I'm personally very grateful if an author tells me beforehand what kind of beats I'm gonna face in his or her article or essay. So that's all for today, and don't forget to check the description box for useful expressions, and tell me in the comments what you're struggling with while writing essays and what you would like to be discussed on my channel. See ya!